I'm upset. No disrespect, respectfully. But disrespectfully, it's disrespect. Don't be disrespectful. Those vile, disgusting Spartans. Poor little bro, them. And I'm gonna tell them where I'm at. That vile, disgusting cesspool in Columbus. The other state. And of course, as always, have you ever asked yourself, why am I paying so much for cell phone service? I'm sure you have. I know I have. And I have a solution for you in the form of Mint Mobile. Use the description in the video here. Check out Mint Mobile's plans. You can get unlimited service for as low as $15 a month. That is not a gimmick. Trust me. Stay in. Good evening, good people. It is I, the Maze Madman. Camera still, we did order a camera. And by the way, shout out to my guy, Troy Mitchell, coming through. But we ordered a camera, but right now we are angled to the right here. So we get out of the way of this cloud that's right here. Either way, that's not what we're here for. You see the banner here. Michigan recruiting on a hot streak. By the way, I would be remiss. Share this with your friends on social media. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, of course, you got to get that out the way. But we are here for business, and that is Michigan recruiting. Right now, Michigan recruiting is in fuego. Sharon Moore and this coaching staff have really been on fire the last couple of weeks. Really, the last month, I'll give it to them. You get the Nate Marshall a month or two ago. You follow that up with Jalen Williams. The list goes on and on. But the last month or so, Michigan recruiting has been outer space here. And it's lovely to finally, and let me not poo-poo on the previous administration. And by that, I mean the previous head coach, because Jim certainly had multiple top 10 recruiting classes. Lately, though, the last 3-4 years, that had kind of waned, and he had really dove into the transfer portal a lot. Not that Sharon Moore hasn't done so or won't do so going forward, but Michigan fans had been kind of missing that top end talent out of the high school ranks, right? The last few recruiting classes. And it was kind of inexplicable because Michigan was having, historic success on the football field, right? Since 2021, literally lost one regular season game to Lil Bro them, unfortunately, and we're gonna get to them in a second because we got to talk about what is going on in East Lansing, but we'll get to that in a second. But literally, that was the only regular season loss for Michigan in the past 3 years. 3 straight years of Big Ten championships, 3 straight years of making the CFP, culminated last year or this past season with the national championship, and Michigan is the reigning, defending national champion as it stands today. So for the recruiting not to have caught up in that span is kind of disappointing. As a Michigan fan, as fans of the program, we were kind of, asking the question, not just us, though. Of course, our rivals and our enemies, especially those vile, disgusting, cesspool-laden fans in Columbus, were begging that question, why aren't you having this success? And of course, today, in today's college football world, there's things like NIL that, and by the way, that's at the top of the heap of the things that are different about today's college football than they were during the BCS era, for instance, right? Where your name got you through a lot of the times, right? That program's rich tradition and things like that, led people to commit more so than anything else. And I'm not going to say that that's not the case now, right? There are certainly some kids that care about things like tradition, that care about the program itself and the health of the program. But, there are others who don't care as much about that sort of thing as some of us would like. But again, I can't fault the kids for trying to make money in a capitalistic society. That's just not going to happen. I will never do that. But the main reason for the pod or the live tonight is to discuss Michigan recruiting, to discuss what's next, right? There's some big fish out here that Michigan has the lure out for and possibly could land. None bigger than Andrew Babaloa, the offensive tackle out of Kansas. And I mean that like figuratively and literally. He's a massive man, a massive young man, and he is a 5-star offensive tackle that Michigan has been heavily recruiting. And it looks like it will be a contest between Michigan and Stanford of all schools for his services, which also lets me know that that young man has a good head on his shoulder. Because to be fair, Stanford is an awesome school in terms of the academia, right? Like, it's not anything to sneeze at. Not to say that Michigan is either. We all know that that's not the case, but it's Michigan. I mean, it's Stanford too in terms of, where you go to school. So I can't be upset about that. Shout out to my guy Killer. Let's get it. P Maximus, it's been a minute. Why did Maxwell Roy recruitment go from Michigan Crystal Balls to Ohio State so quickly? This is a great question, and this is one that I'm so upset about it. I feel used. It's like one of those situations you wake up the next morning and you feel used. This is how I feel about Maxwell Roy. But apparently, he took his official visit to Columbus the week before coming to Michigan. They sold him on some things. He comes to Michigan, leaves talking very highly of the coaching staff, of the experience in A2. But then the very next day, all these crystal balls roll in for the other state, which is kind of disgusting, if I'm being honest. But also, these are children. We got to keep that in mind. These are kids, and kids tend to change their minds. So I'm not necessarily mad at that part. But what I was upset about is it seems like they kind of sent my guy on like an espionage mission to, see what Michigan is doing over there in A2, bring that intel back to Columbus, which I don't necessarily like at all, if that's what took place. And I'm not going to, say that that's what it ultimately was, but certainly is a little fishy. Shout out to Jack, who also explains, I think he got a great unofficial early June visit. Hi, we're off. Visited. Yep. I mean, all this makes sense. Also, let's be real. The high school he came from in Philadelphia produced the Honda Accord and Marvin Harrison Jr. So it's kind of been a pipeline for the other state here in recent years. So that could have played a part too. Just to, keep it a buck. Kyoki Kapana. Hey, shout out to you. Are you related? You wouldn't happen to be related to Micah, would you? Let us know in the comment section. And if so, tell Micah I need him on the show, because that would be great for the people to get to ask some questions of a current Michigan player. That would be excellent. OSU dirty, we all know this. Of course they are. Of course, that's a vile, disgusting, cesspool-laden program. Good old Honda Accord. Yeah, the Honda Accord. By the way, I don't think they did him necessarily right. And I hope, this is my hope as a Michigan fan, I hope that Kyle McCord has an excellent season. I hope that Syracuse does something historic and makes the CFP. That would be excellent. And their schedule isn't too daunting. They avoid a lot of like the pitfalls in the ACC. I think they have to play either Clemson or Florida State. But, if they make the CFP and if the Honda Accord is great, and then Will Howard goes out here and falls on his face like we all expect him to do, then Ryan Day is not going to have his job for much longer, unfortunately for us, by the way, because he's a professional third baseman. But it will be funny to see that fan base melt down right before our very eyes, and I'm here for it, by the way. Moving on, Michigan recruiting hot streak is a real thing, and this man deserves a lot of credit. Sharon Moore has put together a great coaching staff so far, and not just the coaching staff. He's hired analysts left and right. He snatched another recruiting. He snatched the recruiting director right from out from under Ryan Day. And reports were that Ryan Day did not take that well, by the way, and pretty much cursed that lady out of the building, had security escort her out of the building, which is very Ryan Day, if I must say so myself. Seems like such an Ohio State thing to do, to have security escort a woman out of the building because she told you she doesn't want to work for you anymore. But that's neither here nor there. What is great too, and what this also brings up a point that I was going to get to later, but since we're here, the NCAA has ruled to allow analysts to coach games and practices. I'm not sure if everybody knew that, but what that means is that that lady, by the way, could be a coach, and I'm not saying that that's what she wants to do, but it's certainly a lot of the hires that Michigan has made amongst the staff has been analysts in that level of personnel, and now they can participate and coach. By the way, would this have meant, and I hate to broach the question, but would this have meant that Connor Stallions could have actually coached players on the sideline and more? So that's interesting. That's an interesting tidbit, and it's interesting even more so that the NCAA made this ruling after everything that went down last year with Michigan and Connor Stallions and the whole Spygate thing. So it is a interesting development, but one that I welcome. I do think it benefits not just Michigan, by the way. Programs like Alabama are going to benefit hugely from this. Even, unfortunately, the other state will reap some benefit from this. So it's a lot of elite programs that are going to find this to their liking. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think about it. And what you think about and what you think about specifically the Connor Stallions point here, in that he could have been actually coaching players on the sideline had this ruling been made a year or two ago. I can do that. That's great. Kiyoki, I hope I'm saying your name, by the way. If I'm not saying your name, please correct me. Kiyoki Kapana. That would be excellent, by the way, and we won't hold it against you if you can't make that happen either. It is, a shot in the dark, but that would be great. I'm sure the fans of this channel would love that. We've interviewed some people in the past, including some recruiting analysts. We've had parents on, we've had kids on, we've had recruits on as well. So that would be excellent. Did you hear Brady Hart wanted people to stop talking about his quote about OSU not having the same culture? He has been getting a lot of hate from Buckeyes that he's not used to. So I did see that. But again, I think people forget that these guys are kids, right? At the end of the day, that man still has a senior year of high school to complete, right? Brady Hart, by the way, has a junior and senior year of high school to complete. He's only a sophomore or going into his junior year. So that is crazy that grown people on the internet would troll children to this degree, to the degree that they have to ask to, can you stop? That's crazy to me, but whatever. Shout out to my guy, Troy. Troy, I shouted you out early. I'm not sure if you were here already, but Troy has certainly been a fan of the channel for a while. He has signed up personally, by the way, to get a beat down on the NCAA football 25 game that will be released next month. And if any of you want the same, talk to me. I'll PlayStation or Xbox, it doesn't matter. I'm an equal opportunity hander-outer of L's. Just let me know. Readings by Dom. Pressure creates diamonds, pressure bursts pipes. We all know Ryan Day is the latter. That's fact. Ryan Day is not someone who stands up to pressure at all. The NCAA don't have a leg to stand on. They have a lot of pressure on them. I agree, actually, Les Austin Jr. The NCAA might be a thing of the past. If these Power Four now programs got together and decided, hey, let's just do our own thing, then the NCAA would be pretty much powerless to stop them from doing that. So I think that's one of the reasons we haven't gotten any real regulation on NIL, because the NCAA doesn't want to necessarily upset the cart here and then have those, power brokers get together to be like, hey, let's get away from this thing. So I think that's one of the reasons that hasn't happened yet. Looking forward to it for sure. Is by Don We Will. But yeah, so that happened with the NCAA, of course. And Michigan will be one of the teams that benefits from this, unfortunately, or fortunately, actually fortunately for Michigan. But unfortunately, so will some of Michigan's rivals, just to keep that in perspective there. This is a guy that I owe an apology to. Ron Bellamy deserves an apology from me specifically, because I was a guest on the Scarlet and Blue show a couple months ago. They did their 10-day war. They had me on, as well as some other Michigan YouTubers and Ohio State YouTubers as well. And on the episode that I was on, I called this man out, Ron Bellamy, and I said, not only does he need to develop better at the wide receiver position or get results out of that position, specifically Michigan wide receivers, but also he needed to recruit better. And one of those things is certainly the case. And he has this season put on that recruiting hat and has yielded some results. Already, 4-star Jacob Washington has committed, not to be understated. He's on the hook with on the phone with 4-star Taz Williams Jr. out of Texas, as well as 4-star Andrew Marsh out of Texas, both of whom at some point had crystal balls to Michigan. Taz Williams, I'm not sure where exactly he stands right now. However, coming out of his visit, everything was positive. But Andrew Marsh looks like a Michigan lean, and surely a Michigan commit is impending. So I think Ron Bellamy has stepped up to the plate in terms of recruiting, and it could be all the new faces and all the new energy in there. Seeing the success of Lou Esposito early on has certainly probably lit a fire. I know it would for me if I was there for however long Ron's been there. And then this new guy comes in and gets fringe 5-star Nate Marshall, and then follows that up with elite 4-star Jalen Williams. So, and by the way, he's not done, right? There are other people in play. There was, Maxwell Roy, but you get the idea, right? He just came in. In fact, he was the last hire, and he's made some of the most impactful, he's had some of the biggest impact so far in terms of the coaching staff and recruiting. A couple of the most prominent names in Michigan's class in 2025 have been because of Lou Esposito. At least that's his position group. Let's say that, right? I think Taz is a PSU lean. I said this a couple videos ago. I think so too. At this point, his family and he are originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. His father, I had his father on the show. We talked at length about the recruitment process and things like that. His father, was very complimentary of Michigan at that time. I think they do like Michigan. I think Taz likes Michigan. I think Taz likes Ron Bellamy. But ultimately, I think they like what they saw when they went to visit Penn State. So I think Michigan is going to have an uphill battle there to land Taz Williams at this point, but I don't think they're out of it by any means, by the way. So hopefully that does happen for Michigan. If Michigan can land both Taz Williams and Andrew Marsh, by the way, don't speak to me. You won't be able to speak to me about anything, especially if they land those guys. But moving on from that, that Ron Bellamy certainly deserves some credit, but another person who has proven to be exactly what this says is Wink Martindale. Wink Martindale is him. Wink Martindale, when it came out that Michigan was hiring Wink Martindale as the defensive coordinator, another one that I must apologize for because my ageism shone through. I said I wasn't necessarily keen on it. I understood that Michigan wanted to keep that whole Raven style defense uh, intact with whoever they hired at defensive coordinator. Wink Martindale being the architect, if you will, of that style of defense, most recently that the Ravens are playing. However, Wink Martindale is an older man. All right. And Wink Martindale, I thought wouldn't have the requisite energy to go out here and do what he's done so far. So far, he's done nothing but impress the defensive recruits, including one that I want sorely in Nathaniel Owusu Boateng, the 4-star linebacker out of IMG Academy. Boateng spoke very highly of Wink Martindale and very highly about the scheme and everything that he thought that Wink Martindale did well coming or in that recruiting visit and what his vision for Boateng in that scheme. So I'm impressed with Wink Martindale to this point, and it's not just Wusu Boateng either. It was Nate Marshall, it was Jalen Williams that he also had a hand in, Chase Taylor. And by the way, I would be remiss if I didn't give Brian Jean-Marie some credit too. He's had some elite guys that he's been in contact with and had them on campus as well, including Owusu Boateng and Kamar Archie, who were both on campus this past weekend for the Victors Weekend. NOB will sign with Big Blue. So I hope you're right, Jack. Right now, by all the accounts, it seems like it's a 2-team race between Michigan and Notre Dame. Unfortunately, his brother is a former linebacker at Notre Dame. I believe his brother even won the Butkus Award during his time at Notre Dame. So I don't think it's necessarily over with, if you will, but I do think he likes what he saw when he visited Michigan. I do think that if a decision had to be made the day after he left, it would have been Michigan. But fortunately for him and other kids, they don't have to make a decision just yet. However, this did come out today. I believe he's at that 5-star camp and he announced a top 5. I'm going to share this with you guys right here. Top 5 that includes Michigan and Notre Dame, of course, along with Florida, USC, and the other state. Now, take that however you like, but the fact that the other state is in here could just be so he had a top 5 to round it out, right? But if you look at that hat that's on the top, that's the Block M, by the way, and that's Michigan. And the other hat above those is Notre Dame. I think those are the 2 teams ultimately that he is picking between. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Wink definitely a motivator for Boateng coming to A2. I agree, Eddie Kane. I hope you're right, Jack. Like I said, man, I want you to be right 1000%. We getting guys from IMG is elite. Yeah, that's a great point that Go Blue 81 brings up here. Michigan is recruiting IMG Academy very well right now. Donovan Johnson, the running back, 4-star running back, they just got over the weekend from IMG Academy. Caden Strayhorn, although he is a Michigan native, attends IMG Academy. Alex Graham, the Detroit native, attends IMG Academy. He is committed to Colorado currently, but he just took his official to Michigan this past weekend, and it looks like he still has interest in Michigan very much so. And he, finally got a chance to talk one-on-one with new Michigan defensive back coach Lamar Morgan, who I am also impressed with. So it's the Boateng, it's, Graham, Johnson, Strayhorn. The list, might be longer than that. Obviously, JJ McCarthy came from IMG Academy. So Michigan has tentacles in, South Florida and at IMG Academy. And hopefully they can land this guy right here, because when I say beast, it might not even be doing him justice. He's special. I know you guys saw the tape that I shared on the huddle on the video. Absolutely explosive and hard hitting. He also did change his Instagram PFP to a pic of his Michigan visit. That's dope. I saw him today. He had on like the Georgia gloves. It looked like he might have had Notre Dame cleats, Georgia headband. It was all over the place. But either way, maybe it was a Ohio State headband. But either way, I do think Michigan is in a very good position with him. Recruiting is on fire. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. There's no doubt about that, by the way, that recruiting is 1,000% on fire. This is something we need to talk about, though. Let me see if I can pull up this tweet, because this was a sad thing to see, if I'm being honest, and I need to share it with you guys. All I can say is poor Lil Bronim. And for those who don't know who I'm talking about when I refer to Lil Bronim, that's Michigan State. But look at this. Daily MSU says 5-star long snapper Jack Willis has committed to Michigan State. You guys probably can't see that. I'll try to zoom in for you. 5-star long snapper, though, has committed to Michigan State. Go green. I just laugh at that. Poor little Bronim. Hashtag poor little Bronim. Here's the thing. It's so sad in East Lansing what's happened to that program since, Mel Tucker couldn't keep his jollies to himself. And by the way, even before that, Mel Tucker was driving the program into the ground, but that's for another video. But at this point, there's no end in sight in terms of, like, there's no light at the end of the tunnel for them. I shared last week their visitor list for the final week of official visits before the dead period, and there was no juice on it. Let me just say that. And I don't want to disrespect the kids that did go for official visits. More power to them. And by the way, we know these recruiting services aren't always 1,000% accurate, but there was no elite talent going to Michigan State for an official visit a week ago. At least by the standard of these recruiting services. Let me say that. And again, I'm not trying to disrespect the kids. That's the last thing I want to do. But 5-star long snapper, there isn't a such thing, by the way, as a 5-star long snapper, ladies and gentlemen. A long snapper, that guy could be able to snap the most perfect and tight spiral for 1,000 yards. He wouldn't be a 5-star. All right. There is no 5-star long snapper. But these are the victories, the moral victories that they have to, take, I suppose, at this point. MSU is going to be a long, long year for you guys. Oh, it's going to be a long decade for these guys. It does, like I said, there's no light at the end of the tunnel that I can see. Didn't know they ranked them. Exactly. I'm not sure, like, where you get a 5-star long snapper. $50 Foreman Mills gift card for Foreman Mills. You from the DMV, Eddie Kane. Maybe we talked about this before, but I don't know if anybody knows Foreman Mills. No cap, how are we going to contain that long snapper? Absolutely. I agree, Troy. He's going to wreak havoc on Michigan in that long snapper. Now, he did quit back. I did laugh at him and do the hashtag poor little Bronim. And he did say Michigan should know a little bit about the necessity of a long snapper. And it was a little touche moment, but still, bro. 5-star long snapper. It's kind of crazy. It's no buzz of marketing for their program. 313 Eastside. Foreman Mills. Yeah, okay. All right. Yep. Shout out to Detroit. Great city. By the way, we're not trying to have that discussion in here. I know some people will say ill things about the great city of Detroit. I'm not one of them. I love Detroit. Never heard of 5-star. No, nobody's heard a 5-star long snapper. Mac, they don't exist. That's not a real thing. Let's talk about something else that was on my mind. Michigan targeting SEC decommitments. In the title, I spoke or at least brought this up. But Jabari Antoine is one of those guys. He just decommitted from LSU. He is from Louisiana. By the way, Ron Bellamy is also from Louisiana. Jacob Washington, also from Louisiana. Amorian Walker, Jasper Parker, also from Louisiana. So Michigan has been recruiting the Louisiana, Texas area very hard. Pause. And this would be a steal if Michigan could land Jabari Westgate out of Louisiana, former LSU commit. Let me get him up on the screen here just a second so you guys can take a look at that. 6'1", 170-pounder out of New Iberia, Louisiana. He is ranked on 24/7's composite as the 61st player nationally, the 6th ranked cornerback, and the 2nd ranked player in the state of Louisiana. So that would be huge if Michigan was able to land him. I'm all for it. There's another kid out of Ole Miss who Michigan is also going to have on campus for a visit out of the great state of Utah. And I can't remember his name. I believe it's Miles. And I can't remember his name right now. And it's upsetting me, actually. If you know the name, drop it in the comment section. It's Jerome Miles. Jerome Miles is the kid I'm thinking about. 5-star wide receiver out of Utah. Right before he decommitted from Ole Miss, he took visits to Utah and Texas A&M. And then, of course, there came, thank you, Don't Address Me, Jerome Miles. Appreciate that. And he also set up a visit to A2 after the dead period. I believe he'll be on campus for the barbecue in the big house, which will be massive. And by the way, let's just think about a world where Michigan lands all of the current crystal balls they have. All right. And I know that, that's probably asking a lot, but I don't think it's too crazy. I don't think it's out of the question that Michigan can land every crystal ball they currently have. And that would be Hardy White. Let me pull it up so you guys can see it too. Real quick, I'll get to let me get my guy Dom with a super chat. Thank you, Dom, for the super chat, by the way. 58 watching, 15 likes. That's Ohio State numbers. That's right. Hey, shout out to Dom, man. If you're in here, make sure you hit the like button. It's 56 of you. It's only right that there be 56 likes. It costs you nothing, I promise. Just hit the like button. Share this with your friends on social media. Shout out to my guy Dom. But let's get this up so you guys can see. In a world where Michigan lands every crystal ball that they currently have, starting with Hardy Watts, right? 4-star interior offensive lineman out of Massachusetts. It looked like a race between Michigan and Clemson. Right now, it looks like Michigan is firmly in the lead. Then you move on to 4-star Andrew Olesh out of Pennsylvania, who I think would have committed during the weekend, but wants to take his last official or take another visit to Alabama for whatever reason. I think he likes Alabama too, but Michigan in the lead there too. Jacob Washington has already committed. Philip Wright, another speedy athlete, wide receiver, that Michigan could land. Chase Taylor, they've already landed. We know that. Caden Strayhorn has committed to Michigan as well. Donovan Johnson committed. But there should be, let's just take those guys. All right. We'll end it there, right? There are more, but we'll just say they land those guys, land each and every one of those guys. Then you think about the guys who don't necessarily have a crystal ball, but Michigan is right there with, including Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng. They land Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng, and if they land let's just pick one more, Andrew Babaloa, Michigan's recruiting class is probably set, and it's going to be a top 5 recruiting class if they can land those guys. And that's just staying there. But we didn't even talk about Andrew Marsh, who's probably, oh, by the way, he's another crystal ball that I didn't see on that list. He would be in there if they could land a Taz Williams Jr. too. Or even better, and let me not say even better because I like Taz Williams Jr. a lot, but if they land somebody like Jerome Miles, then Michigan is probably threatening for the number 1 spot. If we're being honest, and I didn't even bring up the cornerback from LSU who just decommitted as well. So there is a world where Michigan has a top 3 recruiting class, and it's not even that far-fetched of an idea at this point, if I'm being completely honest. Barbecue at the Big House is about to be crazy for the 2026 class too. Yes, that is absolutely right, and I will be doing a video on that here shortly. Les Austin Jr., little bruh, don't get to give any backlash. He said they didn't even recruit him because they were basically too scared to contend with us and other national powers. Who is this about? What do you think about Caden Strayhorn backlash, little bruh, giving him? So, oh yeah, because Caden Strayhorn's father is a legacy player for Michigan State. Backlash from Michigan State doesn't even sound right at this point. They should be quiet. And yeah, they should be quiet. Watts is a Michigan man on July 1st. I agree with that, Jack, 1,000%. We could get Marco Jones next week. Marco Jones. How could I forget about Marco Jones? That would be great. A California kid, I believe, Marco Jones. Did he set a date? Heard July. Yeah, so Michigan is in a very good position to land a lot of the talent that they want. And if they land all of those guys that I just talked about, even if they miss on 1 or 2, Michigan's going to have a very, very elite recruiting class. It's already moved up. What are they now? Like 14, they're top 15 now. And that's a huge jump from like 42 a week ago, right? Everybody was pointing and laughing at Michigan's recruiting. But now, they're puckering up. Butt cheeks are getting tight. They're a little worried. According to 24/7, Michigan has the 15th ranked recruiting class. And I'm sure according to On3, I think they have the 14th ranked recruiting class. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens when it's all said and done. But I'm pretty sure Michigan is going to be in an excellent position to land everybody that they want. Rutgers is 10th right now. Not gonna stick. I agree, but I actually, I'm not. I like the fact that Rutgers is, contending and recruiting well. I like Greg Schiano a lot. The first time he was with Rutgers, he had some great success, and he's turned that program around. They were the laughingstock of the conference, if we're being honest. Not in the too distant past. So the fact that they're expected to win some games this year, and I don't think they play any of the top teams in the Big this on their schedule this year. They do have a tough out of conference schedule. I think they got a couple big ones out of conference, but they avoid Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, USC. I think they don't play any of those guys, or maybe they play USC, but USC wouldn't be one of the big ones anyway at this point. Worried about Archie to Rutgers. That could happen. And I think that could happen. And if it does, it would probably be Michigan's fault for dropping the ball here, because they had a period of time where, they completely cooled on them after offering them initially. But, having them back on campus, and it does seem like they've picked up the communication with them recently and have shown that, they are interested. I do believe he's a take, even if they get Owusu Boateng. He too is a problem. Not sure if you've seen his film either, but this kid can absolutely play football. So if he does go to Rutgers, it would probably be because Michigan, dropped the ball there. They could win 10 games. Yeah, he's speaking of Rutgers here, and that's absolutely a possibility. Rutgers could absolutely win 10. Could you imagine a world? What if Rutgers made the Big Ten championship game this season? And it could happen, right? Like, let's say Michigan wins, beats everybody. Let's say Michigan drops the Texas game, although I personally don't think they will. There are a lot of people who think that Michigan loses that Texas game. Michigan goes into the final game with one loss. And I expect them to beat the other state. They're too soft, but either way, we beat the other state, and let's say Rutgers goes 10-2. If Ohio State loses to Michigan, and let's say Oregon, I believe those are really the only two losable games. I don't know if do they play Penn State this year? They may play Penn State. Let's say they lose to them too. If they have 3 losses, I think the problem would probably be like Oregon, and I don't see that many losses for Oregon, but a world where Rutgers makes the Big Ten championship game would be hilarious. I'm here for it, by the way. We're underdogs to Texas at home right now. No respect. You're right. That is completely disrespectful. How dare they disrespect us by making us underdogs in the big house where Michigan hasn't lost in 22 games? Michigan's got the second best home record win streak, by the way, second best home win streak in the Power 5 in FBS, only to Georgia, I believe. And they think that Texas, who lost, by the way, they're not even taking into account. Texas just lost Xavier. They lost the other wide receiver. They lost the best defensive tackle they had. They lost a lot too. And they think they're going to walk into the big house and come out with the W. I think it's insane. But either way, if that holds, by the way, I'm betting a lot of money on Michigan, by the way. I hope that they keep that line and put your money on the good guys. Look who made it here, our resident Irish fan with his with his clovers and clowns. Here we go. Nathaniel Owusu Boateng going to Michigan is the joke of the year. Apparently, you don't do a lot of reading, sir. And this is where, you're lacking. I had to school you earlier today on whales and hippos of all things. And you know why? Because I'm well read. And once again, you haven't been reading the tea leaves or actual literature. And you're going to look like this clown that you just put up there at the end of the day because of it. But I digress. Not scared of Penn State at all. Who is? Arch Manning finishes the game versus Michigan up 2 scores. Oh my God. Now that's funny. I will tell you that. That is absolutely funny, but we also have a message for you, my friend.
The lie detector determined that was a lie.
You got to stop it. You got to get that hate out your heart. First of all, you weren't even alive when Michigan, denied the midgets to the West entry into the Big Ten. Get that hate out your heart. All right. Best two D tackles they had Eric Miller, absolutely, you're right. Texas lost both those defensive tackles. They lost their top 5 offensive weapons, other than the quarterback, of course. But yeah, I'm not worried about Texas. Let me not say I'm not summarily dismissing Texas, but at the same time, I think that Michigan wins that game. If I'm being fair, I think Michigan wins that game comfortably. I'm not saying that they're gonna beat them by 30 points, but I don't think that it's necessarily one where we're biting our nails at the end of it either. We had a visit. I don't know what you're talking about here, but I'm pretty sure it's unimportant. Little Michael's just upset that her Notre Dame Irish coach can't count to 11. Yeah, you know what? That's funny because in the biggest moment in his coaching career, back-to-back plays, by the way, I can't just let him off the hook here. It was one play, he had 10 players out there and they made the stop. But then the very next play, he still didn't count to 10. They send 10 people back out on the field. Of course, the other state scores the touchdown, wins the game in South Bend. Nothing new. It's like whatever, right? Notre Dame, I don't believe, has beaten the other state since the 1940s, which is quite ridiculous. But you let them tell it, and they are the bee's knees. And it's okay. You can be important in your little Notre Dame world, where you guys are in an echo chamber of Notre Dame fans saying we're great, even though we have no results over the last 30 years. But okay, that's cool. Notre Dame can't talk when they can beat. They can, yeah. You lost a game to Marshall, a home game to Marshall. And I know you're going to say something about Appalachian State. Go ahead, say it. But even still, that was 4 coaches ago that we lost to Appalachian State. Your current coach lost to Marshall. Your current coach with his Ohio State football degree couldn't count to 10 and cost his team a win at home against the other state. A very winnable game, by the way. And they lost that. Your current coach in that same very winnable game on second down decided to pass the ball, which led to an incompletion when all he needed to do was run the ball and force the other state to call that timeout. But you know what he did? The opposite. He may be even on the payroll for the other state at this point, the way he was handing them that football game. But I digress. Dominus ominous. Touchdown Jesus and all that. Whatever. 1977 natty is really important in 2024. It really isn't. Thank you for bringing that up, Jack. Wow. Notre Dame is in our room. You can get as many legends, kids you want. Hope they can count. Facts, right? Mike says, I'm 53. I saw the 77 Notre Dame national championship, just like I went to see Star Wars several times. I mean, that's cool. I get it. You got that connection, right? Yeah, that's fine. Straight. I don't know. I don't know what to say to that. It's unfortunately that national championship sucked you into like this lifetime of heartbreak and heartache since then. But everybody can't be Michigan, I suppose. Ohio State need trophies to talk to Notre Dame. I mean, sure. I guess, you can dust off some of those trophies that have cobwebs on them in South Bend. You line those up and sure, they outnumber the other state, but at the same time, they dominate you head to head. When you guys get on the field and play mano a mano or 11 on 11, you don't win those games. I wish you would, by the way. My favorite teams in college football are the Michigan Wolverines and whoever is playing the other state. But unfortunately, you guys can't do that. By the way, my third favorite team is whoever's playing you, playing Notre Dame. So, and if Notre Dame is playing the other state, then, I just go with the lesser of two evils. But unfortunately, you guys come up short, just like your mascot. Last time they made the national title, scraps off the pavement, still being picked up. 42. Would take more over Freeman anyway, and twice on Sundays. Yeah, any day. I'm sure he meant and twice on Sundays. I agree 1000%. It's not even a competition. And look, Freeman, I have no ill will towards Marcus Freeman. But at the same time, I mean, those are blaring mistakes that he made in pivotal crunch time moments that you just can't make, bro. Run the football. But again, everybody can't be Michigan. OSU don't need trophies to talk to Notre Dame. They won a natty more recently than you, and you guys lost to them. Yes. Unfortunately, Notre Dame, the other state, has won 2 natties more recently than them, right? Yeah, something like that. It's unfortunate. OSU don't. Yep. Little Michael is now mad the truth is being handed out. Where'd you go? Appalachian State is all time. It is. You're right. Again, 4 coaches ago. That was Lloyd Carr. And by the way, his Lloyd Carr in a horrible moment. Since then, we've had Rich Rodriguez, we've had Brady Hoke, we've had Jim Harbaugh, and now we have Sharon Moore. 1, 2, 3, 4, because I know those guys over at Notre Dame have trouble counting. 4 coaches ago that lost to Appalachian State, but I get it. You gotta have some sort of comeback, right? Ryan Day loses to Michigan this year. It's over for him this year. In which case, over under 10 top 24 recruits transfer decommit. I agree. In fact, I was just saying this the other day. He's going to lose this year. And when he does, they are going to relieve him of his duties, unfortunately for us, because personally, I love watching the third baseman coach football. It's excellent. Except it's a train wreck. So, and by the way, it's a train wreck only in the sense of when he plays elite teams, because as a lot of people will point out, he's won a lot of games, right? He's won a lot of Big Ten games. He's only really losing to Michigan and whoever he plays in the college football playoff. But it doesn't matter, because at the other state, they pay you to beat Michigan. And unfortunately, he has proven that that is a job that is above his pay grade, apparently. And he just can't do it. So it is what it is. Dude's 53, act like he's 23. So lame. Absolutely. Mike, you can't remember the game when you 6. All cap. I can't stand myself for defending Satan down south, but 2014, 1977. You're right. And I feel the same. I almost threw up in my mouth while making the points against Notre Dame using the other state. Ohio State has played us 8 times. Oh, it's 6-2. Yes, that's the point, Mike. That's 3 times they win at a rate against you, 3 times the rate that you win against them. That's not good. Frank Archie, you related to Kamar? Oh, wait, there's a Frank Archie in here. Are you related to Kamar Archie, Frank Archie? Let us know. Notre Dame trash. All time. Y'all been better putting Rudy in as the 11. Hey, this is a good one. That's a good one. Put Rudy in there. That's excellent. But anyway, Mike, we know. You mad. We know it. We know you're upset. You're a Notre Dame fan. You have to deal with all that comes with being a Notre Dame fan, which is not much success when you need to have success. Let's see what you got to say. Exactly. Ohio State needed to win the last national championships to talk to anybody, but it wasn't to talk to Notre Dame. They can't talk to USC yet either. Wait, what do you mean? Why can't they talk to these programs? I need better reason. What is the reason that you feel like the other state can't hold a conversation with Notre Dame and when they win at 3 times the rate against you that you do against them? There's no bigger like uh litmus test for being better than playing that team and then beating that team. And they do it at a rate 3 times the rate of your team against them. I don't know what to I just don't know what to say at this point. There's nothing left to say. Will Ryan Day be wearing female makeup and dyeing his hair and beard again this year? Look, I'm not touching that, Dom. Uh I'm not touching that. People get canceled these days. But that's good. That's it's good stuff. Michael came back. He says, I can't remember a national championship. I can't remember a national championship in 1977, but I remember getting tickets for Star Wars and saw it 6 times that year. What the hell are we talking about? Why are we talking about Star Wars? I'm about to stop responding to these. Why are you talking to us about Star Wars? Think you still hopped up on some 1977 movie milk duds. Matt, why are you wasting our time on this? You're right, Dexter. Let's get back to regularly scheduled programming. Bottom line is this: Michigan, after they win the recruiting battle with Notre Dame and take Owusu Boateng. By the way, you need to hang on to Ivan Taylor too, who is also impressed with what he saw at Michigan. And there is real smoke there too, but I will leave it with that. By the way, everybody, I want to thank everyone who came to the live today. Shout out to my guy. Here's my guy, Toast. Shout out to you, sir. Salute to you. It's been a minute since I've been doing the lives, but I will do lives every Tuesday. Is my day. I know today is Wednesday, by the way, but every Tuesday I'm shooting for to do the lives. So I will be on next Tuesday. I'm gonna come up with some cool name for it. We'll come up with a name for it on Tuesdays. BlueTube live every Tuesday. But yeah, I love the big M hat. Absolutely, I had to do it. I'm kind of partial to the thicker M, but you know, Jim wore this hat. I had to get it. Crying Day being women's skinny underpants. Oh yeah, I heard little like it's liking us. Yeah. Ike is liking Michigan too. I mean, who wouldn't at this point? Hit the like button. By the way, yeah, 63 people in here. We need 63 likes. Star Wars original movie was in 1977. So why I don't remember football games of Star Wars back in 1977? Life was great. Cool. 1977, you probably never mind. If Ron Bellamy pulls off landing Andrew Marsh, is the boulder off his shoulders? And on a scale of 1 to 10, what's the flip confidence of Alex Graham? My flip confidence of Alex Graham right now is a 6. And by the way, I don't know if you were here, Groove, when I apologized to Ron Bellamy for the way that I, had been talking about his lack of recruiting and development in the beginning of the show. I apologize to him for that. If he lands Andrew Marsh, absolutely boulder off the shoulder. And if he lands more than Andrew Marsh, which is a real possibility at this point, then he's a rock star. I gotta say that. Currently saying is about to get slammed for the Connor Stallions BS. I disagree. I don't think that much is going to come from that. Toast, I see you in the spaces. I haven't heard you speak in a minute, but I'm gonna be hopping in those spaces more often. It was fun to, put Ryan in his place a couple times. By the way, if you don't know, I do Minute with the Madman over on the Week Zero channel every other Sunday. You can check that out too. But until next time, I got to get out of here. Stay angry. Hold on. That was just, never mind. Till next time, stay angry. My Buckeye Scoop saying they be feeding their sheep. Of course, Buckeye Scoop is saying that. They've been telling us the hammer's coming for however long, man. It's crazy. We still waiting on this hammer. It's been ugly. Yeah, we got to tap in for sure. We got to get you on the show too this year, on a live. But we gonna work that out. Until next time, though, stay angry, my friends. I'm upset.